Welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. From the bus leagues to the big leagues, the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast has got you covered. Here's Jeff and John. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Rangers Today Baseball Podcast. This is episode number 129, and today, Kip Fagg is going to join us. That's the Senior Director of Scouting for the Texas Rangers. The Major League Draft has just started, and you're going to talk. Just ended. Sorry, yeah. Right. We were there all weekend. I was actually at the draft. And we're going to talk to Kip in a little bit, but first we're going to get into the big league stuff. And that was a busy weekend.
Yeah, the All-Star weekend's busy. It's no joke, and it's a little busier, of course, when you're the home team, at least from a media perspective. But it's the crown jewel event for Major League Baseball. From a media perspective, there were so many more people there than there are for the World Series or any of the playoff games.
God, that's what I've
every team has a player, and most outlets will send at least one writer. Some teams send social media people, some send TV. So it was a madhouse up there and down in the clubhouse, but we got through it, and it was a good time. I really thought it was a really good weekend for the Rangers. The Teodo did so well in the futures game. Walcott got a lot of TV time in the skills challenge. And then Monday, Garcia
did good.
He did all right. Yeah. And then
we've seen some of them come out and shit the bed,
Yeah. And then the game Tuesday was good. The Rangers coaching staff and getting the three players and Bruce Bochy, the huge ovations. And then, in the game, Semien had a big hit, helped lead the comebacks. Seager got a big rise out of the crowd with his deep fly ball. And then
400 foot out to center field.
Kirby Yates had a great inning.
He almost had an immaculate inning. I mean, he had 6 pitches, 6 strikes, and struck them out. And then the last guy grounded out to third base. But, dude, he afterwards, his little video I did for YouTube, I mean, he was like, that was so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really impressed by that.
Yeah.
We had some good and bad national anthems.
Oh, my God.
We were there for that, guys. And I think the funniest part of all of it was Alec Baum. When they showed Alec Baum sitting over there because he was about to do the home run derby, and they showed his face, and his face was literally like, he didn't know what to do. He was like, am I really hearing this, or am I the only one hearing this? It was funny. And hey, you know what? To her, if that's really the case with what's going on,
Ingrid Andrus,
get yourself fixed up there. We all make mistakes, and by God, we should all be able to come back from them if we really.
Yeah, that was a pretty big one.
Yeah, that was a pretty.
a lot of people are watching that one.
Yeah, that's a big mistake to make. But then turn around the next day, and Cody Johnson did a fantastic job.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, as you put it, sober, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, he redeemed himself. He redeemed. I don't know. There's no redemption. I guess Major League Baseball makes those decisions. They take over the ballpark and make all the decisions. So if anybody was thinking, what is Chuck Morgan thinking? Well, he was wondering, what is MLB thinking? So,
yes, exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, I thought it was just a good week for a good however many days, 4 days for the Rangers, and then on the field when the futures game was going on and the draft was getting started on Sunday, they wrapped up. They won 2 games to wrap up a winning road trip against the Angels and the Astros. Those last 2 wins against the Astros were
huge,
pretty big. It gives them a little momentum. I know momentum might die off here with the break, but it gives them some feel good when they come back. So maybe they have a little momentum.
Let's look at the record. We're heading into second half. They're 46-50. They're 5 games back now.
Yeah.
Winning those 2 was important. They've won 2 in a row. And we're going to get into starting the second half and what we think is going to happen. But that was a good way to end it.
Yeah, and they're closer to first place in the division than they are in the wild card. And they only have, they have to get past 2 teams, the Astros and the Mariners, whereas the wild card spot, they've got like 5 or 6 teams ahead of them.
Yeah,
just to get to the 3rd spot. So it's going to be pretty tough, I think. Not impossible.
It's not likely, not impossible, but
I think it
takes the collapse of a few teams.
Yeah,
to get on
and they have games remaining against the teams they have to catch
Sure.
in the West. So that's that's advantageous. Not as many as past seasons. Then I guess last year's when they started playing every team, only division team 13 times as opposed to 19 it had been for a long time.
Yeah.
But they're going to need some help. They have to help themselves. I don't know what's
help's coming.
Help is coming, but that help needs to be good. It's
when do you think DeGrom gets back?
I mean, he hasn't thrown a bullpen with all of his pitches yet. I really think he's a September guy at this point. Just
Mally's getting there.
Mally should be here, early August, I would think. But if you kind of look at the DeGrom timeline, it's just adding up for like late August, early September, which is fine. If you can get 5 starts out of them and they're all important starts, then you take what you can get. But I really think that it's just it just feels a little bit slower. And so anyway,
what a lift if they pull themselves out of this little hole and they get right up there in the mix of things. That's a huge lift if he pops in there at the end of August.
Yeah, it could be, and you still got to worry about the Tommy John guys always, whatever they might run into. They may not be able to throw as many pitches. They might have some command problems, although all reports are that Jacob deGrom, who was a master of command anyway, is fine.
Yeah.
And so
you see him throwing. He looks normal out there playing catch. He gets in the bullpen and throws.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I
mean, it's just a process. You throw fastballs only, then you mix in changeups, and then you start throwing breaking balls. Then you got to throw live batting practice. So
right.
They all have.
Then you go out on rehab.
Right, and it's not like a one start and you're ready to go. It's
you got to build up.
Now, I mean, it's conceivable that they would allow him to come back a little bit earlier than a normal build up for a rehab guy. Let him finish his rehabs
as an opener or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Give me 2 innings tonight or 60 pitches.
Evaldi in September last year. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, things are trending the right way for the team. But the Opals and the Orioles are really good. Speaking of, if you haven't downloaded the app Audio, which is not Audio, Autograph, which is a sponsor of ours. That's the Autograph app. It's co-founded by Tom Brady. They have a deal where you can buy tickets without any ticket fees, and all you have to do is download the app, and it's you choose what community you want. You want the Rangers community. It's right at the top of the page. Tickets, boom. And again, no fees. We do for dirt bought some secondary market items for one of our contest winners, and the ticket fees were outrageous.
Yeah.
So Autograph, if you download this app, which is totally free, they're doing you a huge favor. So get your tickets through them. That's the Autograph app. And yeah, tickets are available for the Orioles series. Probably not a lot. It's a weekend series. It's a big series. Orioles fans are sneaky. They kind of come out of nowhere. But anywho,
they're one of the long-time teams.
Yeah, they're a real good ball club, and Rangers are going to have their hands full. Then they play the White Sox. So I'm thinking, they need to make up more ground. They can't get swept by the Orioles, and they got to take 3 out of 4 minimum against the White Sox.
Win the series. They got to win series.
So, and that gets them another couple games closer to 500. Maybe it gets them closer to the teams ahead of them, the Astros, the Mariners, and then they go on the road for 6. And the trade deadline falls in that second series at St. Louis. Rangers State will be there.
You're going to be in St. Louis?
Yeah. So there's a lot. These are 2 big weeks. They really are. If everything goes the wrong way for the Rangers,
well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Trade deadline. What the scenarios that can play out? First of all, if they get right back in this thing, I still don't think they make a huge splash. We could come out of the Chicago series and they could be three back of Seattle. If Seattle stumbles, and maybe they're even in second place. Who knows what could be happening? Yeah. But that doesn't mean they're going to make a huge splash. I think they're going to sell pitching like you talked about.
Yeah,
because they've got to make some room. They've just got too many. You can't turn 3 legit starters into bullpen pieces.
You
can, but
it's hard, obviously. But you look at we talked about this on the Writers Roundtable in our last episode. You look at the bullpen pieces. Yates, Robertson, Leclerc, Spores are going to be in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a done deal. You would think Urania would be in the bullpen.
Yeah.
He's been so good. So then it's okay. So then what are you going to do with
Dunning,
who
does okay in the bullpen?
Cody Bradford,
Gray.
Lorenzen's
been in a bullpen.
Yeah, exactly. Lorenzen. So you don't have room for all of them.
Well, they
don't all have options,
right?
And so it's a tricky situation. So the logical thing is to trade. You don't want to trade too much, because if something were to happen if Max Scherzer's a nerve issue pops up, or if Tyler Mahle needs a little bit longer on rehab, whatever it is, you still need to have starting pitching. And starting pitching has been the strength of the team this year. So it's tricky. You don't want to cut your legs out from under you, but at the same time, you have an opportunity to get some guys, get some help, whatever help you think you need. And it also frees up some 40-man space, because all these guys are on the 60.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're on the 60-day IL. They've all got to get 40-man spots. So kind of preserve some of your
you've got
minor league talent.
So Dunning's under control. So he would seem less likely to be traded, although he could also be more attractive to somebody because of the control. Lorenzen could be a good trade piece. He's increased his value. He's obviously shown that when he came, he's scuttled a little bit lately, but that's he fixes those things. He's done it all year long. If he has a bad outing, he kind of seems to come back from it and do okay and see what he's changing. Gray is another one that he's on this is the last year, right?
No, next year's the last year. So he's a guy who could you could free up a roster spot, and you could free up some money for next year by trading his $14 million.
Right.
And another, you said you don't think they'll do a lot. Well, one of those reasons is because they don't have the TV contract. They're already over they don't have a TV contract for next year. They're already over the luxury tax first level for this year. The way things are shaping up next year, there's not going to be $100 million TV payday, I don't think, out there. So like what they have.
So they're officially, Bally's is done.
Yeah, this is the last year of Bally.
Good. I got to tell you, good. I think there's so many more things. Well, it doesn't sound like the Stars and the Mavericks are looking also to.
Well, the Stars are doing their own thing. They've done something where they're going to stream all their games, and that came out, I don't know, maybe last week. I think the two choices the Rangers are looking at is MLB producing the games and distributing the games and giving the Rangers a fee, and then the Rangers doing it themselves. So I don't think it would be a network situation for the Rangers. I think they could, you can sell your own games like your Diamond Sports Group. MLB has a deal with Comcast, which Diamond Sports Group doesn't have right now. So there are ways to do it and make money. I think streaming corners you can cut along the way. I really don't know how all that stuff works, but those are the two options that I'm aware of right now. MLB,
most of their money comes from the TV stuff.
Yeah,
but they get a lot from concessions and stuff at the stadium. They do get a lot, but it's probably about a third of maybe.
I really don't even know, and if the Rangers were getting $100 million from Bally Sports, it's hard to make that money up. Even if you get like they had to renegotiate a deal for less this year. So what was that deal? I don't know. Was it 80 million? Was it 85? That's a big deal.
And their payroll's
20 million.
180 or
their payroll's over 200. It's around 240 right now. I mean, it might even be a little bit higher than that. So
they get ticket revenue, which they sell for the year, which does pretty well. They're going to have concessions that does well, but TV's the big. That's the big one.
Yeah, and it's not just big for this year; it's big going forward. You have to find out what you need to have an idea when you go into free agency. I mean, a lot potentially comes off the books. I mean, Scherzer, I think that's going to save him $22 million. He needs another 13. Lorenzen's 3.5. I'm sure I'm skipping guys, but they're going to get some money that comes off the books, but then you got to account for arbitration that goes up. So I mean, it's just,
so they're either going to trade some arbitration eligible guys to if they see something coming up the pipe, or they're going to they got to. I get it. I know what you're saying. So what's the salary cap next week, or the tax?
I don't know, around 250 somewhere probably. I
bet I
haven't looked at it.
I think there'll be players in free agency. I think everybody expects them to go out and do what they did with Seager, Simeon, and DeGrom. And I just don't think they're that way anymore. They've got a good enough team. They don't have to do that.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But they will have to probably find do you re-sign Max Scherzer? If so, what do you re-sign him for?
He likes it here, I think.
Yeah, I think he does too. The Evaldi contract, if it vests, it's not terrible, but if it does invest, what do you do with that? You try to keep him, I would assume, obviously, and then
depend on some of these kids maybe to.
Yeah.
Or you trade for some controllable, cheaper stuff.
You should have DeGrom back. You'd have Malley back for a year or so.
Yeah.
The way Andrew Heaney's pitching, why wouldn't you want to bring him back? He's been pretty good. So
he'll be cheaper, and he's also can come out of the bullpen. He did okay out of the bullpen last year. He's somebody who can do that. I look, he's kind of been an under the radar guy this year. He's really done well.
Yeah. After the first 3 weeks, his ERA is under 3. He's been pretty good. So
people only focus on the day because when he's off, and he'll get batted around. But you remember that, and you don't remember, good Lord, his last 4 starts, he's held them under 2 runs or 1 run or whatever it is. That, and you don't think of that. You think of the negative.
Yeah.
Especially when you're losing.
Yeah. He just doesn't get much run support. That's his issue.
That was his big deal.
So.
And that's what the biggest problem of this team right now has been is, they've started to right before the break, they're scoring some runs. They're starting to score 5-6 runs a game and doing that. But when you've got an entire pitching staff holding teams to around 4 or under, you've got to think you're always going to be in those games or you have a good chance to win. The problem's been is this team is not like last year. They went through a stretch where they were only scoring 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not, even though the record's bad, this team's not getting blown out. They're not getting blown out 7-1 and 8-3.
Right. The games are competitive,
right?
But they're frustrating because if you're a Rangers fan, you grew up with this team, just scoring runs by the dozens.
Yep.
And I mean, if you just started watching last year, you saw how many runs they scored last year. I believe they led the American League in runs. So, Adolis Garcia's got to get it turned around.
Marcus Simeon's going to get better, I think. Hopefully.
Yeah. So.
And we need, I think it's been a little bit of a disappointment with Carter. I know the injury, but he wasn't quite the Carter that went through that little magical stretch last year. Wyatt Langford's starting to come into his own, but everybody just expected him to step in and be Josh Young, and he's not going to. He's just barely a big leaguer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and they do miss Josh Young.
Young and Carter, when they come back, they've got to be productive.
Right. Exactly. And
so, and Young should be back. I don't want to say should anymore.
We thought he was.
He could be going on a rehab assignment here soon.
I would love to hear that he's gone away this weekend to do it.
So we'll see what happens. But
you know what? Let's get to Kip.
Yeah,
it's time to get him in there. Let's get Kip in here, and we will talk about the draft that just came up, and that'll be fun. Talk about some of these players. I need to hear about some of these and find out who we need to be looking at that we're not talking about. Kip Fagg's going to come up right after this, guys. The guest segment today is brought to you by the Round Rock Express. Jeff, what's going on at Round Rock?
Well, they had their little break, but they're going to be home for a quick weekend series this weekend against Oklahoma City. The Dodgers affiliate, always a pretty good little ball club. The Round Rock Briskets jersey giveaway Friday. World Series replica trophy giveaway Saturday. That's going to be a big one. First 2,000 fans. Then a teddy bear toss Sunday. It's a night game. Probably going to be some fireworks. So then they go on the road. They come back home on the 30th of July. For more information, go to milb.com/round-rock.
All right, guys, and joining us right now from his home is the Senior Director of Amateur Scouting. He knows Kip Fagg. He comes on every year with us after the draft. Kip, what's going on, bud?
Oh, man, just trying to relax a little bit after a stressful few days, but no, it's good to be home now and great to be done and getting these kids and starting getting them Ranger unis for sure.
I actually went to the draft Sunday. I'd never covered it and wanted to do it. It was pretty cool little setup there. Waited around for your first round pick and obviously knew that he wasn't going to be in there because they only had 6 guys show up. And if the guy that fell to y'all was still there, then that was going to be a good sign. But all the guys that were there were picked before they got to number 30. It's a good to have the 30th pick because it means the big league team has done well.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you talked about it before the draft, but hey, picking 30 ain't bad. There's a pretty good reason you're picking 30th.
Yeah, you want to pick 30 every year. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, quite frankly, it's the goal. It's different. I don't know if strategies are different. We don't scout any different by any means, but it's just like there's certain plays aren't going to be there. There's probably, I think, on our draft board, I think I probably had 14 that I thought pretty, sure they were going to go before our 30th pick, and then there's a handful of other guys, probably 10 more that are probably your group you're talking about, and knowing like probably 5 of those aren't going to make it either. So I mean, it's hard, but you just got to do your work like you do every year on guys. But no. Means you won. They got a ring on your finger. I don't have my ring, so I got a. What do I have up here? I have a high desert. one though.
Holy crap! Holy moly! Desert.
The last season ever played in high desert, the Texas Rangers won the California League title.
There you go.
Awesome.
and then quickly left it in the rearview mirror.
But I think that ring you got last year was nicer, wasn't it?
Yes, I don't even. My wife's got that. I don't even know where it's at. I'll tell you the truth. I think she.
Let me check eBay real quick.
No. She's not doing that, but she goes out and shows it around. She likes showing it. Yeah. She's all right. That's all right. That's what it's for. The thing's so big, it's hard to even wear. So, I mean, it's awesome, have it and all that, but it's like I'm not a flashy dude. I don't even wear necklaces. I can't wear a watch. I don't like any of that stuff. So I don't have a wedding ring on, which I don't have any jewelry, so I probably won't wear it all that much.
That's the only thing I wear, Kip. I don't wear a watch. I can't stand necklaces. I just, when it's hot, and what you do, especially being outdoors a lot, and me just because I'm fatter, I guess, but I just don't like anything touching the skin.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys, 20 rounds this year. You got to pick in every round. So you mentioned that there were probably 14 guys that you knew would be gone. Another 10. How did you guys target Malcolm Moore, who was your first round draft pick?
I mean, it was not so much target Malcolm Moore. I mean, he was in a group of guys that we really liked Malcolm. I mean, we've had a long history with Malcolm. He was a very decorated kid even before he got kind of into high school, that kind of thing. And he grew up in the Sacramento area. I'd seen him a lot in high school. Then obviously he was, it was a big ask he had out of high school, right? So he ended up going to Stanford. And saw him 2 years there, so it's like the familiarity and just the knowledge we had on seeing the player through the years. I mean, gave us comfort for sure.
What for those who might not have heard your comments after you guys selected him, or Chris Young's comments.
See why?
How's the defense? I think that's kind of. I don't know if it's a knock.
Who puts this stuff out here? This narrative of his defense. Everybody says it, and I don't get it because I don't read all these pundits out there. So who's saying that?
Well, I mean, it's on pretty much every website that are the suspects you would expect who are writing these bios. But yeah, the defense for people
we feel good about. We feel good about the defense. We wouldn't have taken there if we didn't think this guy could catch. So let's put that to rest right now. And I don't care if these guys write. I mean, our scouts believe he could catch. So and that's all I believe in, and so that narrative I don't even want to talk about because it's not something that we even talk about.
Yeah, well, good. So what do we like about Malcolm Moore?
It's like very, very good leadership skills. First of all, the person. I mean, Stanford, bright. Check, and it's a real like the relationship piece to him with pitchers. I think is a big thing in our organization also, and Malcolm's like the forefront of that at the Stanford. Like 2 years he was there, even as a freshman, and then the body got better this past year. He's moving a little better. I think he started to buy in a little bit of like, okay, I'm going to have to, if I'm going to take it to the next level, I'm going to have to get my body really in good shape. And he did. And so the movements back there were better. The throwing's at least an average arm, and it's a decent release. The hands work well. He's not the most rangy catcher, I guess, as you say, that some of these other guys would be like but I mean, nowadays the way guys catch is way different than it used to be. Like, you don't see guys block balls that much anymore. Even with, I don't want to sit here and talk old school, new school, but like runner on third base, we don't block guys. You know what I'm saying? So,
you're right.
I'm trying to get in the middle of this thing. Yeah. All right. But he that would probably see the negative of him being a catcher. Probably like if it's a wide miss, can he get out to like some of these real athletic guys do? And who knows? But it's an elite approach at the plate. It's left-handed. There's power. There's hit. And I know everybody wants to talk about, he didn't have a very good batting average. The batting average, it's nowadays baseball. I mean, 1,000 OPS 2 straight years. There's power. There's more walks than strikeouts through his career. It's like it's a really good profile of a player, especially as a catcher.
I mean, and it was a significant number of more walks than strikeouts. It was like almost 10.
Yeah.
And he got hit 3 times. I mean, that's what stood out to me. We don't the Stanford SID doesn't put up, expected batting average and WOBA and all that stuff. So we're left with the traditional stats, and looking at the traditional stats, I guess OPS is now traditional, but OPS stands out, and the walks thing. I guess it's so rare that you just get knocked over when you see that somebody has walked more than he struck out. So
now there's a few guys you run into every year like that are, some of them are like, there's so you got to think when you're a scout too, is it passive or is this guy just really see the ball well and he knows the strike zone? Those guys that have elite, like walk more than they strike out that level. And to us, there's aggressiveness here. This guy will go in first pitch sometimes, but he sees the ball very well. And so I think that's where the approach comes from.
That is, to me, as an outsider looking in, if you're walking more than you're striking out, I don't care what level you are. To me, that's like that's elite stuff to me. A walk is like a single to me, so it doesn't count in your average. I get that, but good Lord, if you're laying off, because I would have been hacking away and looking like a fool at anything close, and being able to spot what is a strike and only go after what you see in your zone is very impressive to me.
Yeah, no, we're excited about that part of it.
Okay, so you finished the night with Dylan. Is it Dryling?
Yeah, Dryling.
Dryling, who won him a natty.
A natty, yeah. He's got a ring.
They said that Tennessee sent out a tweet that said he swings hard. That's my scouting report on him.
He's another guy too. You look at that; his walks are even with his strikeouts 2 in 2 years there at Tennessee. And there's power, there's hit here. As a lot better athlete than left field. He might, we're going to try a little center field early on, see what it looks like. He didn't play a lot. He didn't play any at Tennessee, but he's an athletic enough to go out there. We'll see kind of what the instincts are when we put him out there in the center field when he starts playing. But it's like a tremendous individual. First of all, he grew up in Hays, Kansas. His dad, the old Jayhawk League back when I was growing up, was like a big summer league, probably bigger than the Cape back in those days. And his dad, his grandfather was a legendary coach for the Hays Larks, and in the Jayhawk League. And so this kid, like when he was in high school, played those college guys, and this dude always hit, even then. And he was known more of a pitcher when he went to Tennessee. And I talked to Vitale a while back, and he was going, man, he goes, I can't say I was the greatest recruiter. I thought this guy was a pitcher. And he came in, and they let him start hitting. Mainly it was the platoon. His first year, their freshman, he just raked, and they let him against left-handers at the end of the year, and he really hit left-handers well. And then they hit the 4 almost a year for Tennessee this year.
Yeah, for the national championship team. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot in Hays. I've driven through.
No, there's not a lot to do.
That's pretty cool. So I always think that the first pick of each day is significant because you have time to go over your notes and target guys. So talk about Casey Cook, who was a 3rd-round pick, the first pick on Monday, and then Dalton Pence, who also went to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Who was the first pick for on Tuesday.
I didn't even think about that. Now that you say that, it didn't come to my mind that both the North Carolina guys we took on the after the re-rack.
Well, there you go. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, thank you. I need help. Trust me, I need help. I'll get my wife up here in a second. She'll tell you I really need help.
Mine would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So what do you got on Cook?
He went there as an infielder. He was a high school shortstop from Freedom High School up there where CY's wife grew up, right next to Dulles, a little south of Dulles in DC, Virginia, right? And so it was a shortstop there. Went to North Carolina, played a little second base, and this year they for the team's sake they moved him to left field. And it's an elite. Another one is elite approach, left-handed hitter. Velo doesn't scare this dude. I mean, I saw this dude against Chase Burns. He was whacking stuff all over the yard on Chase Burns. So, he's a really good. It's a bat first kind of guy. We're gonna get him back in the dirt when we get him.
Okay.
And I have a lot of faith in Kenny Holmberg, our minor league infield guy, and we're gonna bang him a bunch of balls. He was a shortstop, was a second baseman. He played second base in the fall for North Carolina. So it's not like this guy's never played second. So we're gonna try it out there and bang him a bunch of balls, and knowing that at worst case he's a left fielder, but try to get him in the dirt here and see what it looks like. And I personally have never seen him. I saw him a little bit in the showcase in high school, but I don't really remember it as a shortstop. But I know some of our guys have seen it quite a bit more than me, obviously, and think it's got a chance in there, and it's worth pursuing for sure.
And then is Pence? Is he going to be a starter or reliever?
He was a reliever there. I think he had most of his success there. Okay. And it's such a different, the evolution of scouting pitching has changed a lot here in the last 5 years. I mean, probably even less than that. But I mean, it's like it used to be when I started doing this, before all the analytics and data we had, the information we had, which is good stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad, because I think it helps you make better decisions because you know a lot more about the guys. But we always the age old question was starter reliever, right? We always asked that in the draft room, like, oh, is the guy a starter reliever? And quite frankly, we're horrible at predicting that. We're horrible. I'm just being honest. We're not good at predicting that, and so. I think that, Pence, I would say if I'm betting man, I say he's a reliever, but, he started some. He was a starter in high school. We had big interest in high school when he was coming out as a starter, but he's morphed into a reliever there at UNC. That's where he's had success. It's not like a huge fastball. It's 91, 95, but it's like one of those invisible ones. Well, they don't hit his fastball at all. He punched out a bunch of dudes this year, and they don't hit his fastball. And he's got secondary too. He's got a changeup. He hardly used that much out of the pen, and he's got a breaking ball that's good too. So, I'm not ruling out that, but like I said, I told you before, we're not very good at predicting that. This guy's a talented kid. And he's big and strong and physical, and he pitched in a great conference and he had a lot of success. So, we're excited about Dalton.
All right. I think just the research I've done, I think my favorite guy that you drafted is Anthony Susak from Arizona. Tonka, right? He in the Arizona media guide says he has a 4.91 DoorDash driver rating out of more than 1,000 drivers.
I didn't read that. Sorry.
I remember you brought that over to me when we.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, it says he's like a huge Croatian fan. He has cousins who are in the majors who I've heard of. So, it seems like this seems like a good guy.
Yeah, it's a baseball family for sure. And no, he was a starter. He's another one. He was a starter there at U of A. Actually had way more success out of the pen. He started actually the first part of this year, then they moved him to the pen, and he took off. So his numbers probably don't look that great, like on paper. But if you split him from like starter reliever, it's a big difference. So I'm not saying we think this guy's a reliever either. I think he could probably go on early on and start and see where it goes. But he's got a good arm. He's got pitches, and it really played up in a shorter role, so to speak.
All right.
Let me ask you this. This is one of my fun things to always ask you, Kip, when you're here. So you got 20 rounds. It's totally different than it used to be when y'all go 30, 40, going back then. Who are some guys, a pitcher and a position player, that you were surprised that you got them where you did? They're not really – look, if the Rangers took them, they're very interested in them. Yeah, you guys like them. But these could be guys that, wow, you know what? The potential here could really turn into something huge. And maybe he's not going to be as high profile as Young or Dreiling or people at the top. A pitcher and a position player that we need to watch that name. These are guys that could come in and they might just be ready to go. And I know you may have 3 or 4 of them. So I don't know.
We got a lot of guys. It was a weird. First off, usually in drafts, you never know how it's going to go. A lot of times you get picked like before you got a guy you got in mind, right? You always have backups when you're going through this, but this year we didn't get picked hardly at all, which is like very unique. And sometimes I think it's, oh man, we're not doing a very good job. Nobody likes our guys, but I just think it works that way some years. And some years you get picked a lot. Like last year, I got picked a ton. And, it made you go a little different directions. And especially how the draft's set up now, as far as like the money piece of it and everything, you got to have like some semblance of what it's going to be bonus wise to even take a guy. Cause where we were bonus pool wise at 30, right? It's probably one of the smaller ones. It was, we paid Wyatt Langford for Tex. We paid Wyatt Langford more in signing bonus than the whole bonus pool we had this year.
Yeah.
So, so that gives you some context of where we're at. So, there's a lot of these kids that you look at, especially the high school pitchers and those kind of things that had big ask, and we weren't going to take them high. They didn't. We like players ahead of them, but we did like them and would like to have them. But the money was just like through the roof on some of these guys, and so it made it challenging for us. But getting back to a couple of the players, the original question would be, I think, like, first of all, I like to talk about Hageman, the guy we took out of West Virginia. He had Tommy John. I'm super excited about this one. It's this guy. I mean, I don't want to put like labels on a dude, but as far as the guys I've taken in a while, this guy is like an elite mover. He's a big man. If he wouldn't have been hurt, he would have gone in the first round. So,
what's his schedule?
I think he's God. Don't misquote me. I'm going to misquote myself here, but I believe. I think there was two of them we had. We took him and Horn, Garrett Horn, the other guy, the Liberty's another one that's the Tommy John guy. And we thought we got him in a spot where, like, if he was healthy, we wouldn't have had access to him. So we're excited about that one too. But Hageman, I believe, so we had it in, it's probably not, it's going to be the end of next year is my guess. Okay. Like it's like the DeGrom, that kind of,
so like in May, June.
Yeah, it's like that deal. So he's into next year. I think Horn's a little ahead of that one, I think, if I remember. But I think it's that. But we're super excited about this kid. It's like, that's big. There's big. There's a 98. There's a lot of things to like here. There's a breaking ball. There's a change up, and it's big and it's physical.
6'4". He is big.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and he moves really good.
And then I wanted to ask about Cabe Obermuller.
Yeah,
down there. I mean, he's if you knew anything about college baseball, you'd heard his name.
I old enough to scout his dad. I scouted his dad pitching at Iowa. So I did both. So that's how when you start getting, you're old when you get like, I scouted his dad.
Well, that's a name you would remember, Obermuller. That's a name you could remember easily.
And both his dad was at him. We're both at Iowa, so we'll see how it goes with Kate. That's one we haven't worked out, and we'll see how it goes here moving forward. We're a little bit challenged money wise too. So
yeah, I just wondered, he's a sophomore, so we can go back.
They can all go back now. COVID made with all these dudes go back. I mean, I'm so confused now when it comes to that stuff. I mean, this guy's a sophomore, but I have seniors that they tell me, I've seen this guy for like 4 years. You go, we can go back. And I go, why did he go back? I don't know. So it's still confusing to me. The COVID still hasn't got out yet.
Will you run into UIL or not UIL? NIL stuff? Will you run into NIL stuff in certain situations?
Like I said, I think most of these deals now, the way you do them, I mean, like I said, pre-pool, we used to have to go take the player, then we go negotiate the contract and try to sign them. These deals are all done when we take them for the most part. And so, the NIL, I don't know, does it affect you? I personally don't let it affect me because I could care less. If a kid wants to take whatever NIL is to stay in college, whatever, I don't really want the dude. I want guys that want to go out and play professional baseball, right? They want to get to the big leagues and pitch at the highest level against the best players or play at that level, right? So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it affects you a little bit. I think these high school guys, you saw these high school guys pulling themselves out late. You saw that, the Twitter, all that stuff. Yeah. I think a lot of that has to do with maybe they got a little more NIL to do it. I don't know. So, I mean, maybe it affects you a little there, but I mean, I don't let it affect me.
All right. Oh, and then the two Texans you took in 18 and 19.
Mac Rose is 20, Kisser McLennan, and
Caden
Leon.
Caden Leon, Lake Travis High. Caden Leon, they have a draft and follow back in place right now. And so basically you can draft a high school kid that's going to junior. He's going to McLennan. Going to pitch there. He's pitching for Skip Johnson's kid. Tyler is the head coach at McLennan.
Okay.
And Tyler's
it's a good little program too.
Real good. I mean, Tyler works for us. He's a bird dog for us too. So it's a good setup for us to have we have both him and Mac Rose there at McLennan, and they're both going to be draft and follows. And so we'll follow them again next year and see how it goes. We'll make a decision before next year's draft.
I like the draft and follow.
I do too.
I think that's
Tom Grieve was a draft and follow.
Well, I think it's good for the player.
The draft and follow, you guys are like you're spouting draft and follow back in the day. This is not draft and follow back in the day. So I mean, we're limited how much money we can give it. We can only give a draft and follow $250,000. That's as high as we can give a guy. So if you run into the problem, then say Caden Leon goes to McLennan, he ends up like improving like I think he might, and then he's going to say, well, or people are going to advise him, hey, don't take that 250, you'll get more, go back to the draft, right? So it's hard. It's hard to navigate that with that little money, and I'm not on the committee to change that, so it's probably not going to change anytime soon. So, but I do like draft and fall. I mean, I've had some good draft and falls in my career doing this, but I mean, it's not like the draft and fall pre-pool though. It's a little different.
Okay, all right,
yeah.
Well,
anything else?
No, this is always our don't get a big head here, kid, but this is always our favorite show.
We love it. I love it. I love scouts. I mean, I'm a closet scout is what I am. I really am.
I don't know anything about scouting, so I don't. I just defer to everybody else.
No, it's like this job's like not a job really. Other than the travel's really, really hard, and that's what I don't think people understand. I could, and I was thought about this too. I was trying to get Evan Grant to help me out, and I'm going to write a book about how to travel because I'm a professional travel is what I do. I know every secret, everything to do travel. I mean, we do spend so much of our lives doing that. And I looked the other day, and my wife actually looked, and it was kind of I spent 4,300 nights in a Marriott in my life. So
holy crud!
That's like, I think it's like, is that 15 years, something like that? I don't know. I don't even do the math. But it's crazy to think about that.
How many points do you have?
I don't have that many points. My wife spends them. So I mean, we buy Christmas presents, buy everything with points. Yeah. Oh yeah.
We bought a vacuum cleaner with Marriott points. I bought golf clubs,
computers, phones, TVs, everything you can buy through there. So yeah, that's where I've used most of mine. I still got quite a bit, but I don't have like probably what I should have from staying 4,000 plus nights in a Marriott in my life. So yeah.
Hey, I like to talk about some of the successes that maybe didn't make the big leagues. Well, this one actually did, but one guy that I got to know really well and I really liked is Ryan Doro, who's now a head baseball coach, and saw that. And I mean, he made the big leagues for a couple days during that 21 season when it didn't have to affect the 40. But what do you remember about Ryan? 30th round pick coming out of that little college out there in Michigan, and really look. This was not a high-touted guy. He worked his way up to AAA. He did well at every level, got to play a couple of days. I like these little stories real quick, and then we'll get out of here.
Our area guy up in that area is Chris Colias, who does a really good job and knew Ryan for a few years up there. I never really saw Ryan play, to be honest with you, before we took him. It was a recommendation from that area scout. And, it was so different than 30th round. That guy wouldn't be drafted anymore. So,
right.
You could sign. We signed post draft guys too. We signed like 3 or 4 post draft guys this year already, and so. But that being said, he wouldn't be drafted now. But he was just a really good baseball player that was a little stronger than he looked. For the size, right. and actually like willed himself. Those guys that are like 30th round picks that are like smaller in stature, etc. They got to prove themselves at every level, and he did. And he opened a lot of eyes and kind of forced himself to, he got a chance to play in the big leagues, which was awesome for Ryan. And it was just like a really good story, but he's a really good baseball player. Was a tough kid who had good at-bats, had a little power too, So, no, he was fun. He could defend. He could really defend. That's what happens. These guys just stick around for a while. Even if they don't hit a little bit, if they can defend and help your team, they're valuable guys. And he did.
Pitchers loved him.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he got to get. I'm always, when I talked to Ryan before he was in AA and he got moved up, I said, after baseball, you think you'll scout? You think you'll do that? And he was a baseball nerd. He was going to be in baseball somehow.
I don't even know. Where's he coaching at?
He was it's that they're in the same division that he went to school.
Okay, so he's back home then, basically.
He's back up in that area. He took a job as assistant up there, and then he got the head coaching job after a year. He took over a program.
All right.
Good for him.
Yeah, it was really good for him. Really good for him.
Done?
I'm all good.
Hey, man, this is my favorite. I love it every year. Every time I see it anywhere around, it's always good to say hello. But I love these. And next year, of course, we'll pre-book it to get it ready after the draft next year. But I appreciate you taking time.
I'm ready for it. We'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate having me on.
All right, that's Kip Fagg, guys. Right after this, we're going to go down in the bus leagues. Down in the bus leagues is brought to you by the Frisco Rough Riders. Jeff, what's going on in Frisco?
Well, they had their break, and they are opening the post-break at Wichita, which is where they open the season. They'll be home Tuesday, July the 23rd for a week-long series against Tulsa, the Drillers. Of note, those days on the 26th, it's Military Appreciation Night, post-game fireworks. Frisco will be the Frisco Corning Dogs on the 27th. Always kind of a fun little promotion. Kids run the bases after the game, and then on the 28th, it's a night about nothing. I think this is always a Chuck Greenberg. I can feel it, a Chuck Greenberg special with an appearance from John O'Hurley from Seinfeld. If you like John O'Hurley, anyway, it's Kids Sunday Fun Day, and there's post-game fireworks as well. So go to milb.com/Frisco for more information.
All right, big thanks to Kip Fagg for coming on. That was interesting. I like that. I always love talking to Kip every year.
Yeah.
That's become tradition.
He's great.
And he's always great with what he does. He loves to talk ball. Hey, guys, Bus Leagues, again, you saw who that's brought to you by. Bus Leagues by Frisco Rough Riders. Speaking of that, we're going to start down the top of the minor leagues all the way down. We're going to go into some DSL and ASL. We got some records of them, but we always start at the top. That's AAA, the Round Rock Express. They are 8-9 in the second half. They're 4-6 of their last 10 games, and they lost their last game. What do we need to talk about there?
Well, they just came back from Reno. That's where they finished up. They're on a little All-Star break too, although they don't have an All-Star game, but they're on a little break. You go to Reno and you just, because it's at elevation, you wonder how things are going to shake out, and it's a little bit rough offensively. The ball sails, and they had a big game last week. I think I mentioned on the last show where they scored 10 runs and ended up losing the game and all this stuff. But I think. Looking at it, Dustin Harris seems to be surging a little bit, and that's good. Justin Foscue getting on base, average 257. Not great, not terrible. On the pitching side, of note is that Chase Lee is back.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him all year. Where's he been?
Well, he's been hurt with a hip deal, and. He last I heard he was in Arizona, but I think I thought I saw him in a game. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's been a guy since he was drafted where it was like, oh well, he could be in the majors real soon.
Yeah,
of course he's as you know, he's a little bit different in that he throws from way down under and it doesn't throw hard, but there's a lot of deception on there, but he had hip injuries. He's pitching with bad hips last year, and he finally went ahead and had the operation last year in the off season, and it's just taking some time. These things take time, but such a nice kid. Of course,
he's a trivia question.
He came in studio on our show.
He was the first player to come in studio who was an actual active player.
Yeah. And
he came in our studio back in our old place, and good kid, really good kid.
No, he is in Round Rock. He's pitched 4 games for them, so that's kind of good. We always have a soft spot for him. So,
and let me tell you something. Going back to big league stuff that we didn't talk about earlier, we're talking about a soft spot for these players and getting to know them. Cole Reagans must have hugged me 3 times, talking to me, talking about his outing that he did there. He had a good inning.
In the All-Star game.
In the All-Star game for the American League. Sorry, I'm jumping back, but when you're talking about how we have a soft spot for these kids, Cole Reagans has a soft spot for us. They like us back.
Yeah.
They do like us back. And Cole was, when other media was bugging him, he would step to the side and talk to me, and we were just shooting the shit and having fun.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a good guy, and on those lines, Jerkson Profar, I was very happy for Jerkson. Had a chance to talk to him. So,
all right, let's go to Frisco.
Yeah,
Frisco Rough Riders, AA affiliate, 11-7. Also the sponsor of this segment. They're 11-7, 6-4 in their last 10. They have won a game. Their last game that they played. Who's there?
Well, it's been the same guys all year. It really has been. It's been Cody Freeman and Josh Hatcher. Freeman has hit the 10 homer mark. He's got 21 doubles. It's a tough time right now to be in the Texas League. It's hot.
It's very hot.
Everywhere you go, it's hot, or humid, or both. But there are some players. Alejandro Osuna has been really, really good since his promotion from Hickory.
From Hickory,
he has 9 extra base hits. He's batting .340 with a 1020 OPS. I don't know that he's going to cool down, but maybe he will. But and Frisco, keep an eye open for Frisco, because as these guys get back from the major league injury list, they're going to be rehabbing there. Tyler Malley's pitched there a couple times.
Yep.
Dane Dunning was just out there the other night. Nathaniel Lowe
pitched in Arizona too.
Nathaniel Lowe was there early in the season. So keep an eye out for Frisco. You may be able to go out and catch a big leaguer. But like we talked about earlier, Toyota was really, really good in the Futures game. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Two perfect innings on like 14 pitches.
6 up, 6 down. It was
Winston
good.
Santos was really good. He allowed an unearned run. Wasn't his fault. He was hitting 97, 98. So they're now another guy who we need to watch. I mention him all the time, is Skylar Hales, the reliever, the 4th round pick last year. Throws at 100, has kind of a sidearm angle. Slider needs a little work apparently, but he was too good for Hickory, so he's come up to Frisco, and he finally gave up a run, but he's been solid.
All right, let's go down to High A Hickory. That's the highest of the A affiliates. That's the Hickory Crawdads. They are 10-11 in the second half. Guys, these are low numbers. When you're wondering what that is, they split them into halves. They have a first half, second half. First half winner goes to the playoffs, second half winner. So they are 10-11 in the second half of play, 4-6 in their last 10, and they have lost the last 2 games before. Are they on a little break too? Or
I think everybody was.
All of them are on a little break, getting ready to come back.
We'll talk about Walcott, of course, because he was in the Futures game. We talked to him. Seemed pretty confident and happy with what he's doing. He admitted there was a transition period. But he got to figure it out.
Tried to do too much, he said.
Yeah. Cameron Cawley has righted the ship. Good for him. Yason Morabel, who had the great May, has just not had a great time since. He's down to 217. His slugging percentage is down to 311. So he's got some work to do. Glider Figueiredo, he's
got promoted up there.
He's just got promoted. He's still hitting home runs. He's got his average up. It was, I think last week it was around 150. Finished strong. It's 200. That is the Mendoza line, but he looks like he's headed in the right way. So good for him. And then that pitching staff is still real good. Mitch Brad, I would expect Mitch Brad is going to be in Double-A before too long. Aiden Curry keeps lowering his ERA, which is what he's gotten better. I know the numbers are kind of gruesome, but hey, he's doing good. And our guy Alejandro Rosario, 25 strikeouts, 6 walks, and 13 and 2/3 innings. So
at High A,
and it's a little different. They're a few more walks than he's used to. Probably some more hits he's given up than he's used to. But
new umpire you're dealing with.
Him and Cole Drake, both guys who
they have not gone up there and just scuttled.
They haven't stunk. They're doing fine.
They're getting used to it. Down East, the low A, the babies. Well, the babies now are even further down than that. Down East Wood Ducks, the other lower A affiliate that last year in Down East, by the way, they're going to be moving. They are 8-12. They all year long they've been actually they did pretty well in the first half, but didn't finish. They're 8-12. They're 4-6 in their last 10, and they've lost their last game.
Yeah, not a lot is happening there offensively. It's just not a good offensive club. Chedry Vargas, as like we have talked about, he had a good June. Arturo Disla, Waylon Baptist, is that right? He's been a pretty
big boy,
doable player, but he, again, not a ton of home runs from this group, but there's some Chandler Pollard and Tommy Specs, Devin Hurdle, some draft picks from the last couple of years are down there still kind of figuring out a little bit. Jesus Lopez, the catcher, he's kind of come back to earth a little bit, but the pitching is still remarkably good. Jose Gonzalez, his ERA is over 2 now, unfortunately. Well, what's wrong with this guy? David Davalillo, 168. Just more guys who are probably going to be getting promoted to Hickory. You can't do it all at once, and there's got to be, there's got to be a spot for them. That's just kind of the way it works. But I would expect that Hickory spots will be opening up, which will open up spots for the fellows we just mentioned.
Yep. Okay, let's go down to the Arizona Complex League. They're going to be winding up here probably in a couple of weeks. Listen, this team still in first place, 34-19. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won in the last couple. They're just kind of running over people.
They're a good club. Of note, of course, is Kumar Rocker is rehabbing there. He had another rehab after our last show. Did fine. It's still, the names offensively are all the same. Jeremy Cabrera, Braylon Morel, and Pablo Guerrero. They're all right around 300 in their batting average, above 800 in OPS. Cabrera no longer is the league leader in home runs. He's one shy now. He's got 9, but these guys are getting toward the end of the season. They're going to play in the playoffs, and it's not like it's just like single elimination.
Yeah,
it's no series. It's like if you lose, you're done.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming up at the end of the month. But and then the other guy, Claimer Lemos, interesting guy who started in the Dominican Summer League. He's done pretty good for himself. He's still hitting, doing well in Arizona, though he doesn't have any walks, which might be a little concerning. I don't know.
Young kids don't walk as much. They're up there hacking.
But he was good in Dominican with that. And then Yolfran Castillo, of the major signees last year, he's the one who's gone stateside, or maybe not last year, but in this current class, I guess. He's batting around 300. Not a lot of power yet. He's still only 16, but good for him.
All right, and the last one of them all is the DSL. There's 2 teams in the DSL. That's the Dominican Summer League. One of them has just been, I think the last time we did a show, they were undefeated. They're now 25-7. They're 7-10 in their last 10 games, and they lost their last game. But that's the red team. Blue team is 18-11, 7-3 in their last 10, and they've won one. So you get down to Frisco. Both ACL and DSL, all of them are winning. They've all got winning records, and the DSL and the ACL are just tearing it up.
Yeah, and that's good. They have so many prospects who are in the Dominican. Some are never gonna get off the island, as they say. I know the Dominican Republic itself is not an island; it's on the island of Hispaniola, but you want to get off the island. And so there are guys who are in the process of doing that, which is cool. There's a lot of pitching on the blue team, including Jonathan Hernandez's brother, who we've spoken about a couple times. And then, the red team was where Castillo was. It's where Paulino Santana is, I believe. And they're just good. They have a pitcher named Jesus Delgado who's got a 108 ERA. I think he was the pitcher of the month. A little bit older, but it's just kind of crazy how these scouts are finding guys who, everybody's like, oh, they're 16, and there are 16-year-olds who signed for boatloads of money. But then there are guys like Winston Santos and Emiliano Teodo who don't sign when they're 16 and they get $10,000.
Right.
And you find them and you draft them and you develop them. And so there are so many players on these rosters who you just don't know who, you just haven't heard of them. And so it's good to see that something positive is happening there when it comes to player development. These guys are, whether they're signing for $3 million or whether they're signing for 10,000, they're doing something and they're producing. So that's tip of the cap to all the scouts the Rangers have down there.
Yep. Well, guys, that one's looks like we got another one we're putting in the can. A big thanks to Kip Fagg for coming out. Jeff is heading to, we didn't talk about that earlier.
Yeah.
But you're heading to see Adrian Beltre get into the Cooperstown. You're heading out tomorrow.
I am flying into Syracuse and then renting a car. And I didn't decide I was going to go until, I don't know, it was too late. So I'm not staying in Cooperstown. A, there aren't many hotels to begin with, and B, the houses that get rented out, they go quick. So I'm staying about 30 to 45 minutes outside of town, but it's not a bad drive.
Workable.
So anyway, yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, if you haven't been to the Hall of Fame, I can't endorse it enough. It's if you're a baseball fan, you really have to go. The museum's just fantastic. You don't have to go for the induction ceremony. I mean, that's tons of people, and gets a little crowded there. Go to the Hall of Fame though. And then this little town. This town's just little idyllic town, beautiful scenery and setting. It's just a cool experience just to go and check everything out. So they're not sponsors of the show. Maybe they should be after that generous plug, but
talk to them while you're there.
I'll talk to
get our sales team on it while we're up there. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Hey guys, like we said, every time after this, we're here because of you. You guys have made this show what it is. It's grown unbelievably since we first started this thing. And it's all thanks to you guys and what you've done. A lot of you have come up and said hi to us at games and all of that. We appreciate it. We always want to come out and talk to y'all because we can't do it without y'all. But this is another one in the book. 130 is the next one that's coming up. Kip Fagg, thanks for coming on. For Jeff Wilson, I'm John Moore. And until next time, we will see you at the yard.